We also meet Adian, Aelin's other cousin, comes into play.
Rowan, Aelin's other cousin.
Right. I try to forget
We
that
meet
they're
all of
cousins.
Aelin's cousins in this book.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. This is Bookmarked episode 3. On this episode, we're going to be revisiting the Throne of Glass series, continuing on our journey of our reread through that series. We are reading The Assassin and the Desert, which is book 3 of the Assassin's Blade novellas. And we'll also be talking about Heir of Fire, book 3 in the main series. So to kick us off, we're going to talk about Assassin and the Desert. We following Celaena as she goes to the Silent Assassins in the Red Desert as sort of like a punishment from Arobynn to get trained by the Silent Assassins. And during that time, she meets Ansel of Briarcliff, who becomes kind of a key character later on in the series. She's also training with the assassins there, and then sort of gets to know some of the politics that are going on in that like region of the world. So like the Wastes, Briarcliff, Lord Beric. She has to basically fight Ansel and the army that Ansel brings in to try to take over the Silent Assassins group, and ultimately ends up letting her go because she kind of relates to where she's coming from, I think, a little bit, and then goes back to Arobynn. And something I forgot was that then the head of the Silent Assassins gave her all that money so that she could get out of her contract with Arobynn. And that's where it leaves off. That's a very quick synopsis. And now we're going to talk about our thoughts. This is Taylor and I's second time reading this series. So some stuff we're kind of looking for on like a series overall, and then also like the mass verse.
So with this one,
what were your initial thoughts?
I think this actually is my favorite novella in this in the book. I really like the setting,
Yeah.
them being in the desert, and I don't know, just like the fortress in the middle of the desert, and the fact that they have to run through all these sand dunes and then do all these just really cool, fun assassin-y things. I don't know, I really, really liked this one.
I liked this one a lot too. When she's training with the master and she's having to like mimic the animals basically to in her training. I thought that was really fun. And I love the scene when she's stealing the horses with
Yes.
Ansel. So
And I really
good.
like that one in particular because they were talking about it in Crown of Midnight when Dorian gets Kale, the Asterian horse, and Selena tells them that she had actually stolen some horses from it the Lord guy that you were just talking about. Was it Lord Briarcliff?
Yeah, Lord
Barrack, there we
Beric,
go.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ansel from Fire. Yeah.
And so
Yeah, I
we
don't
finally get to see and live that story that we didn't get any details from in Crown of Midnight. 'Cause she's like, I'll just tell you the story at another time. hmm
Yes. Yeah, I think this is like the perfect way to read these, doing the one novella in between each main book, because they do like match up really well with how when these characters get
hmm
brought in from the novellas.
And then we meet, is it Ilias? And that is the master's son. And
Yes.
I really liked him. I feel like him and Selena could have had a cute little thing. I feel like Selena has a lot of cute little
Yeah.
things.
She does. She really does. Yeah, he's gorgeous in my
Mhm.
brain. He's just love
I
him.
know. So yeah, we also are introduced now to stories about the Kraken witches and the Iron Teeth witches, and explains the curse on the Witch Kingdom. And that's like how the crops don't grow, and I think all the water dried up and whatnot. It explains all of that, and it keeps the animals, or it results in the animals dying because there's nothing for them to eat or drink or anything. And so with us reading Air of Fire afterwards and Manon and all of that, I thought that was really cool too. And then we're learning about the Stygian spiders and the spider silk, which comes into play also in Air of Fire and um throughout the book, really, or throughout the series.
Yeah, that she meets that
Mhm.
traitor when they're in the town and Ansel's talking to the Lord Barrick, and she meets that trader and he has the spider silk that he traded like 20 years of his life for, I think, or
Yeah.
30, because he's like 20 but looks like he's
50,
50.
yeah.
Because he comes into play later, but I forgot that we met him so early
Yeah.
on. I was like, oh yeah, this is so cool.
I thought that was really cool.
The spiders are something I would love to know more about how their magic works, because that's insane that they can just be like, yeah, I'll just take, 20 years of your life or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, what kind of magic do they have? I'm
I feel
intrigued.
like for some
And
reason,
how come the spiders still
I
have
thought they
magic?
were related to the witches somehow. I
Maybe.
can't remember how, but I thought that was the thing.
Maybe it'll come up later, because I don't recall. Oh, probably in Tower of Dawn is probably when that
Yeah,
comes up.
because I think in Heir of Fire, when Manon was getting the spider silk for Abraxos, or maybe that was the one before this, since we had a 2 week break from the time that I finished reading these and now that we're filming. So my memory's not great. I think the spider that she came in contact with was calling her sister.
Yeah, I have a vague memory of
Yeah.
that too. Yes, I think you're right.
And I think they are another Valg creature. I think like the because I can't remember. Oh my goodness. Where's my notes? Okay, so the Valg were demons who stole Fae to breed with them, and that's how the Kraken and all the other witches were made. And so I think the Valg recreated with whoever else and also made the spiders.
That would make sense. Because they have kind of an evil element, but also their magic seems to like supersede, like they still have their
Mhm.
magic, even though, oh, I guess they don't. I guess they don't. They're also affected by the curse. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. That comes up in Air of Fire, but
You're right. Yeah,
anyways,
I keep
moving on.
forgetting too. Assassin's Blade takes place before it or
Right.
is it after or before the magic is gone?
Assassin's Blade takes place. Wait a minute. No, the magic's already gone in Assassin's Blade because she's like 17, 16, 17. So yeah, why were the spiders able to make that deal with
Yeah,
that dude? Oh, I guess we don't know when they made the deal. Could have been a while
when
ago,
he
I
was
guess.
10.
I don't know. Yeah. I have a plot hole. We just discovered a plot hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, the trader guy. How would they have made the deal? They don't have magic anymore. Okay, interesting. Because they definitely don't, because in Air of Fire, they're saying to Manon that they just made a deal with somebody who can shapeshift, and the spider's really excited for when magic comes back because she's going to turn into like a hot
Yeah,
woman, but they can't do it yet. They can't. So
Mhm.
interesting. Plot
Yeah.
hole, Sarah J Maas, we just discovered.
Did you have a favorite moment in this
Um,
novella?
I really love when they're riding the horses in this, like I just picture them in the sand riding these horses. I loved that. But other than that, I think it's when she's letting Ansel get away and she gives her like 1 extra second before she shoots the arrow. And it's just sort of, it's written in a way that makes it sound like Ansel and Selena both are very aware that that Selena's like giving her not only a second chance, but basically a third chance by waiting to
Yeah.
shoot at her. So I think, and that's just a pivotal. I really like
Yeah.
that part.
Some of the most vivid moments that I really, really liked was when she had to run to the water over the sand dunes and then run back, and she just like that whole trial, I guess, that she had to do. I really like that. But then also after um I think it's Xandria, it's from Xandria are coming to attack the fortress, and then all
Yep.
the assassins are up in like the little window areas and they're shooting the fire at the ring of fire thing to ignite it and all that. And she's like, "This is really fun." I'm like, "This is really fun." You're right. I just really that just looked so cool and everyone was having fun while also protecting their fortress and being badasses and yeah.
I like that part too. One question that I had while reading this is she's training with the silent assassins. She's got to get the head silent assassin's approval so that Arabin will let her back, basically. And this whole time, she's talking about how they're so skilled and talented, and these assassins get contracts to go work with people all over the world because they're so skilled. Like, I don't really get why Arabin has such a rep, I guess, because it seems like the silent
Yeah.
assassins are just as tough, like their crew. So it just seems interesting to me that they're even sort of like reverent about Arabin in a way. Like Arabin
Yeah,
thinks he's king of all the assassins, and Selena's the one that's like he's the king of the assassins in the West to try to be nice, but that's not how he sees it.
yeah, and I remember that conversation too, and they were talking about it, was it Elias she's
Yeah,
having the conversation with?
I
Yeah,
think
because he's the
so.
one who can talk, and he had said that they wouldn't encroach upon their territory and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they weren't a threat to Selena's um heir of is she the heir of the assassin's heir?
Yeah, I
Arabin's
think
heir?
so.
Arabin's I don't know what that
Yeah.
term is called. Yeah.
I feel like they say heir. Yeah, because she's supposed to like kind of inherit Arabin's title and like take
Yeah.
over being in control of the
Mhm.
assassin.
I'm very curious about Arabin in
Yeah,
general.
I want more Arabin information.
Okay. Do we have any other thoughts?
Uh, out of the 3 novellas that we've read so far, where does this rank for you? Number 1 as your favorite so far? Or
I think so, yeah.
yeah. I think me too. It's really fun. And it's funny because I don't remember liking this that much the first time I read it. I feel the first time I was like, I just want to get back to Sam, and I was so annoyed that it was another story not with Sam. But this on this
Mhm.
reread, I like this one a lot.
Me too. I think the first time I felt it was long, but now reading it, I'm like, I feel like it wasn't long enough.
Right. I wanted more time. Yeah.
Yeah, I did too. I also didn't remember all the things that Ansel was doing and like all the her like plotting and scheming and whatnot and um
Yeah.
the fake relationships and whatnot. It kind of made me sad.
Yeah.
And this is
Ansel's an
also like
interesting character.
I was just going to say that she's such an interesting character to also like reappear later on in the stories too. This is such
Yeah.
an interesting interaction between Aelin and Ansel, and for Ansel to come later on in the series, it's just a little surprising.
Right, because she's kind of well, she does a lot of bad stuff in this novella,
Yeah,
and not somebody that you would think Selena would necessarily trust later,
yeah.
but I think she sees a bit of herself in Ansel, like this person who's lost everything and just trying to get it back. But
hmm
still, yeah, it's kind of surprising.
So I think I'd rate this one 4 stars.
I would agree. Yes.
I think this plot alone would be a good enough plot to have its own book for. That's not a
Yeah.
novella. Hmm
Yeah. I'd love to get more about the Wace and everything. I don't think we ever really fully like get a ton of info on the Witch Kingdom versus like Ansel of Briarcliff
Yeah,
and all of that. So yeah, I'd love to have a whole book or series just about that side of the continent.
that would be really cool. And then on the spicy scale, this was a 0, like all the others.
Yep, like most of these books are going to be a 0.
Yeah.
Yep,
hmm
no spice, no spice for you. Okay, now we're getting into Air Fire. Book 3 of the Throne of Glass series. Starting off, Selena has been sent to Wendelin by Kael's scheme in the previous book to what he thinks is going to be to protect her. She's been sent to Wendelin by the king to go and assassinate Galen Ashriver, who we come to find out later, well, at this point in time, is actually her cousin. And she has no intention of killing him. But this is where she's been sent. And so instead, she's going to go and speak with the Fae Queen, Maeve, to try to learn more about the word stones and do what she can to fulfill her oath to Nehemia to protect Nehemia's people that she made
hmm
in Crown of Midnight. This is the first book where we have multiple POV, so we get introduced to Manon and the witches. And then we also have flashes of what's going on with Dorian and Kael because they're often not together in this book either. And we also meet Adian, Aelin's other cousin, comes into play for the first time.
Rowan, Aelin's other cousin.
Right. I tried try to forget
We
that
meet
they're
all of
cousins.
Aelin's cousins in this book.
Yes, this is true. We do. I try to forget that they're cousins because I love Rowan so much. I mean, distant,
Mhm.
distant cousins.
Very
But
distant. He's like centuries older than she is.
yes. Um, with through Manon, we get to learn about the witch dynamics and their hierarchies, and they're a little bit more about their curse from the Cochrane witches, and then of course the Wyverns, and one of my favorite characters, Abraxos, her Wyvern.
Mhm.
So everybody's kind of doing a different power struggle throughout this book. Aelin specifically is, well, she's starting to kind of accept that she's Aelin, but she's going by Alentia while she's in,
She's in Mistward.
thank you,
Yeah,
Mistward.
to train with Rowan so that she can be granted permission to go speak with Maeve about these word stones and word marks
Yes,
and all that.
yes. So
Um,
Maeve won't let any of the Fae into Doranel, the Fae kingdom, until they've like proven themselves basically as being valuable. And so she wants Aelin to train and learn how to use her magic, uh, which she does.
and then at the same time, Dorian is training back in Rifthold, and he finds himself spending a lot of time with one of the healers. Her name is Sorsha, and Sorsha's kind of helping him get his magic under control. And they develop their little romance that happens.
And then Kaol is kind of accidentally teaming up with Adian and the rebellion to try to protect Dorian. In his mind, he's trying to protect Dorian because he knows Dorian has magic. And then Adian, of course, is wanting to know where Aelin is and how to
Hmm.
take care of her. And so they kind of join forces. And we find out that Adian is not actually under the king's influence because his Fae heritage just let him kind of sense that the ring was bad. So he never put it on. And what else about that? Yeah, they're teaming up. I love Adian. I do. I love him.
Hmm. I love Adian also, even through the bad times. I'm an Adian fan.
Yeah, I agree.
Hmm. And then
Um,
while Aelin and Rowan are in Mistward, they start having, or they find out that Narok and his army are over there performing experiments on Demi-Fae, and all these creatures start popping up, and they have to do that. And then we also get flashbacks at this time of what happened when Aelin's parents were being murdered, and I think it was Narok that did it. Was it Narok?
I don't know if we get confirmation on that.
Sure. But we learned that the king had these Valg powers and was using them on her even when she was a child, when they were meeting at her family's house and whatnot. And I was like, oh my
Yes. Overall plot, Aelin learns her powers and ultimately ends up kind of stealing Rowan from Maeve. Learns a little bit about the word keys, but I feel like for Aelin, her plotline ultimately this book is her accepting her birthright and finally fully embracing taking back her kingdom.
God. Hmm.
So that's kind of where it leaves off. She's going back to Rifthold at the end to fight the king as much as she can.
Also, Kale and Dorian and Adian are also trying to, I guess, kind of fight the king. It kind of ends with the king summoning them to his chambers, and Sorsha dies, and um, I think Adian is imprisoned. Kale escapes. Dorian gets the collar around his neck, and basically, the end of this book is just like, uh, uh,
Yeah, like, oh no,
yeah,
oh no, oh no, oh no.
yeah. I was gonna say it's a shit show. I wasn't sure if I'm allowed to say that though.
Yeah, do it. Um, and then Manon, we've kind of just, met her in this book, but by the end of the book, I feel like the big takeaway is that she has more humanity to her than the rest of her like witch brethren, especially like the elders, like her grandmother
Hmm.
and Baba Yellowlegs that we met in Crown of Midnight. Like they are sort of told to believe that there are these heartless creatures, like literally told that they don't have a heart. But then Manon, uh, despite her best efforts, has a soft spot for her wyvern and for many of her other 13 witches.
Hmm.
And so we kind of are getting so Manon is at the end. She's kind of in charge of the witch wyvern what do you call it, army, basically. She's sort of like the
Yeah.
leader of the army. And but we're kind of starting to think, okay, maybe she's not as bad, though. Maybe she's not a bad witch or as bad as everybody else. What were your favorite moments or like big takeaways?
So my favorite moment, this is, I just want to confirm, we did not meet Manon in the previous books, right? This is, she gets
Correct.
her. Okay.
Yes.
So when she's picking her wyvern, that is the way I imagined that was just so cool. I really like those scenes when she gets to pick the wyvern and they all want this big wyvern, and then we have our bait wyvern over here who beats him, and
Yeah.
she's like, that one, it's gonna be that one. And he's just so cute. He's like a
Yeah.
puppy. I really like that. And then in the very beginning of the book when Aelin is just like lounging around on rooftops getting drunk every day and
Yeah.
eating bread and then just like trying to figure out what she's going to do. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, absolutely. And then finding out that Rowan's just been watching her in his hawk form like the whole
Hmm.
time, just like
And I think it's really funny too because yeah, that's one of the very first scenes. Aelin's on the rooftop and she's noting like this bird that's flying around, and then when they're down in the alley, one of her first thoughts is like, what is his animal form? And it's like, you've already seen his animal form.
yeah, he's been watching you. He's
Hmm.
been watching you. Uh,
Your favorite, did you say your favorite scenes?
I not yet. I love this one. I really liked this one the first time I read the series, and I still think it holds up. It's my favorite one, I think. It's my favorite out of all of them.
That
I
is
I
really
don't know
good.
why exactly, but I think a lot of it has to do with just Aelin's story arc in this book specifically. All the scenes where she's
Hmm.
coming to terms with her grief and her past are just, oh, I love it so much. But so I love when she's
Hmm.
training with Rowan. I love meeting Rowan. I know a lot of like book talk people are mixed about how they feel about Rowan because he did technically punch her in the face like more than once. And so as a future love
Hmm.
interest, most people don't like some people don't like that. But I mean, in like modern society, yeah, okay, don't date a dude who punches you in the face, obviously. Um, but in this realm, in this story, it's like he's not doing it maliciously. Well, mostly.
Yeah.
It's like a, it's it's a part of the story. It needed to happen. It's not, come on, it's okay.
Yeah, he wasn't, it's not like the boy versus girl thing. In this, they are equals. They're both fae. He's trying to get her to bring out her like animal form or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And like it's more like equal on equal. They're fighting and
Yes.
whatnot.
Yes.
I did forget how mean Rowan was in this book in the beginning.
He's such a
It was
dick
just
when they
so
first meet.
funny.
Yes.
He was so mean,
Yeah.
but I
He's
can forgive it. I loved him.
no s no sympathy whatsoever. Yeah, I love
None.
Rowan. I love him so much. So I
Mhm.
love all the Rowan scenes. I'd say I really like the scene where she's still trying to learn her magic, and so he steals Luca and puts him in the lake in the cave,
Yeah.
with the big monster. I love that scene. It's just so fun to read.
I also really like what we find in that scene. I think it's like a ring and a sword possibly, and then we find out later that Rowan had kind of like nudged those to her to help her in her meeting with Maeve at the end of the book.
Yeah, like
Rowan's
he's
just so
been
smart.
doing what he can within the confines of his, oath. 'Cause we find
Yeah.
out he's given the blood oath to Maeve, so he has very little, like, mobility as far as what he
Hmm.
can say to her and how he can help her, but
Hmm.
finding out, yeah, he's done what he could, uh, to help her.
Yeah. One thing I noticed early on page 55, there's um a whatever, and it says there were legends whispered over fires about the other skin Maeve wore. No one had lived to tell anything beyond shadows and claws and a darkness to devour your soul. And so we are learning very early on. are getting these clues very early on that Maeve is not who we think she is.
Right.
And I don't think I noticed that in the first time around.
I don't think I really did either. Right off the get, it's weird that Maeve. It's weird that both of Maeve's sisters are dead and she's not. But
Yeah.
because her sisters are sort of talked about in almost like a god sort of sphere. I mean, like we find out
Yeah.
Mab is Deanna. Like
Hmm.
Mab, the stories of Mab have become the goddess Deanna,
And she's the fire
and so I
goddess,
mean,
right?
yeah. So it's like wild that Maeve is still alive, um, but in this like god tier. So I feel like that should be a
Yeah.
red flag from the beginning. I didn't. The first time I read this, it was just not. So oh yeah, whatever.
Yeah, and then we find out so Aelin and Adian are both descended from Mab, and then Rowan is descended from Mora, the other sister. So it's Mora, Mab, and Maeve.
I also really loved Emrys. Kind of forgot about the other people in Mistward a little bit.
Yes.
I love Emrys. So sweet.
And and for anyone who doesn't remember who that is, he's the old man who was helping in the kitchen at Mistward, who also happened to be friends with Aelin's mother
Yeah. So
when she was there.
he knew we find out that he knew who so Aelin was the whole time that she's been in Mistward, but when she first arrives there, she doesn't want anyone to know who she is. So she tells everybody that her name is Alentia, the name that Nehemia gave her. And she thinks that Rowan is the only person who knows her true identity. And come to find out, Emerus for sure knew the whole time. And possibly some of the other people also knew
Yeah.
who she was the whole time. And we're just sort of like,
Hmm.
okay, we'll call you Alentia and give you your space. It's okay. So sweet. Manon also is the MVP of this book, I think. I mean,
Hmm.
I the first time I read this and I had to introduce to this new character, I was kind of annoyed at the witch chapters, to be
Same.
honest. I was like, I don't care. I just want to know what's going on with Aelin and Dorian. I don't care about this Manon person. And then by the end of the book, it's like, no, I only want Manon chapters. I
Right?
love her.
I felt the
Uh,
same way the first time around. I was really annoyed. I think I skimmed the first probably few of them. There were some things that I don't remember learning, so I did a terrible job reading the first time her chapters. I think pretty much up until she picks her wyvern is kind of that's when I kind of got really invested in her and the rest, and I want to go back to is it Fenharrow or the Farian Gap,
oh,
the rock formation that they're in with all the dragons or the not the dragons, the wyverns in the Farian
same. I
Gap.
mean,
I want
similar.
it's that's also a really cool setting too,
Yeah, totally. Can you imagine just like a rocky mountain full of cranky witches?
right?
That's
And
insane.
wyverns,
And wyverns. Like that
cranky
sounds
witches and
horrifying.
wyverns.
Oh, and in this book, so we find out that the witches are working with the king. We don't know why exactly yet, but the king has asked all of the Iron Teeth witches to come together and ride these wyverns and presumably like do his bidding. And
Mhm.
I don't know if we fully know like why the Kraken and Iron Teeth witches were at odds to begin with, but we do know that the Krakens have made this curse that's made it so that they can't go back to their homeland. And then, yeah, none of them have magic anymore. So they're all kind of like doing what they can to survive, but they're like kind of immortal, I think, or they live a really long time, one of the two.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, Abraxos. I've seen this online a lot, but he is toothless in my head
Yes.
from How to Train Your Dragon. So he's just so cute and I just love him.
Hmm.
And he likes sniffing flowers.
And then also we find out that Manon can sense like this meat is weird in this area. Abraxos also won't eat the meat. It smells off. It's funky. One of my questions is like, how are none of the other witches noticing this?
Right, because they all like drink people's blood and stuff. So
Yeah. And then she also had an experience with a bridge made of stone where she just felt weird about this bridge. And that's another thing none of the other witches picked up. So I think that's an interesting, I guess, plot hole or question is why can Manon sense these things that no one else can?
right.
Or are we just not getting that info that other witches are also sensing this or something? I'm not sure. We also meet a lead in this, and she is the daughter of Peranth, and I think she had actually met Dorian and Adian and Aelin when she was younger also.
What do we meet her on page, or is she just talked about?
She may be just talked about. We find out that is it her dad that's also there?
The lead's
Is
dad?
it Vernon? Yeah. Is that why
I
she's
think
there?
Elid's dad was killed. I'm pretty
Oh, is
sure
it her
Elid's both the
uncle?
parents. I think it might be. I'm pretty
Oh,
sure both of her
okay.
parents are killed.
Okay, so Vernon Locken, I think, is her uncle then. Um, and he survived because he was already the king's puppet. Cal and Marion were executed, and Marion was Elid's mom, who also helped Aelin escape. Yep.
And she was like best friends with Aelin's mom.
hmm
Yeah, this book
Okay.
made me cry many times.
And it has a lot of really important and good information.
One passage that I noted was let's see. This is well, in this edition, it's on page 272, chapter 33. Um, let's see. Selena's finally well, at this point she's still referring to herself as Selena, but she's listening to Emerus tell stories and she's finally starting to like open up with them and ask questions. And so she asks him to tell her stories about Maeve, and that's how she starts putting the pieces together is all these stories from Emerus. But he starts telling the story about Maeve's mate. And first of all, I had kind of forgotten about that, but then that's when we find
hmm
out about this ring that he was going to give her, but he didn't because he died. Um, that's kind of the most info we get, but we find out that that ring, she's able to bargain it for Rowan at the end because
hmm
he finds it in that cave and then gives it to her, and she's able to like put the pieces together and then bargain for his freedom. But something I was wondering is about this mate is if we like ever know who he is because it seems like Maeve would want to really. Do we find that out? I can't
I
remember.
think we do. I think if I
Mm,
tell you, it'll
Okay.
spoil it.
Okay. This is probably just something that I just like. I read it so fast the first time. I was just like, whew. But that seems like that would be important.
Very important. Um, Another thing, not long after what you're talking about, it's Manon's POV. Manon is talking to the Stygian spider that she gets the spider silk from, and the spider is telling her a story, and it says, "A merchant came by a few years ago. He told me there was a mortal high king who had set himself up there, but I heard a whisper on the wind recently that said he'd been deposed by a young woman with wine red hair who now calls herself their high queen." I'm like, is this Amarantha? Are they talking about Amarantha?
Oh,
This wine red hair who now calls herself the High King and I mean High Queen, and the High King would have been Reese, wouldn't it? Wasn't he High King? Am I
not of
wrong?
not of all of the courts, but like I mean, Hybern was trying to be of all of them.
Did Amarantha depose Hybern?
I don't. Did she? Because he's still alive, but she's kind of like ruling the continent. That's interesting. Because when I read that, I thought that that was referring to Ansel in the Wastes,
Interesting.
but I don't remember Ansel's hair being described like that. So
Yeah.
that's interesting. Maybe.
And I think early on they were talking about this would have. Oh, you're right. Maybe it is because it is in the wastes because they were talking about how it was a gift from the king of Outerland. And so I'm like, maybe the wastes are what is their world called in Akatar? Why don't I remember this?
I cannot
Is
remember.
it Aurelia or is
Um,
that where we're at right now? What is this map?
where are we?
Oh, no, so we are in Aurelia.
The
Corinthia.
court.
Prythian? Prythian.
Prythian. Right. And then Solaria, is that Crescent City? Or is
Yes.
that, oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's the
and
only
so
one
I'm
that's
like,
coming to my mind.
what if I could be completely wrong and it's totally okay if I am. Um, but like what if the wastes this other place is what did we just say it was? Prythian.
Yeah, that's an interesting theory.
And
Mm,
maybe because of this curse, like obviously the witches, it's not doing anything for the witches, but in this other um multiverse or whatever,
right, because they have a
this land
curse
is
too.
hmm
Whoa, that is interesting.
and then also in Crescent City, there is their island that also has a curse.
Right.
I could be totally wrong though, and this could possibly be Ansel, but I don't remember her ever calling herself High Queen.
I don't remember if she did either. I know she was trying to take back Briarcliff, like that's her whole MO, but we'll
hmm
have to pay attention to how she's introduced later.
Was Hybern mortal or was he Fae?
Hybern was Fae, wasn't he? I thought
See?
everybody was. Yeah, because he was like taking human slaves and stuff. Hybern was Fae,
Okay.
I think.
So anyways, I want more on this. I want to know who this red-haired High Queen is. And it'd be wild if it was Amarantha.
That would be wild. We need
hmm
answers. I like this. That's an interesting theory. Okay, well, so towards the end, we find out because Rowan and Aelin start tracking these killings that are happening of these demi-fae, and so then they find out that those creepy creatures that Rolf's guys had also seen in their ships are killing people in Wendelin, but they're specifically targeting like demi-fae or
hmm
Fae if they can get their hands on them. But I think at this point they've only killed demi-fae.
Yeah.
And we find out that those are other creatures like the one that Aelin battled in the library in Crown of Midnight. Um, and they're basically like trying to take these demi-fae and make them like them, like possess them
hmm
basically. But a lot of them are just dying because they can't like handle it. I don't remember where I was going with that. Other than I really like the scene where they're outrunning the skinwalkers, which also are horrifying. And I kind of forgot about the skinwalkers. But I love it when they're trying to lure that one. I don't remember what they're called, but like the Valg guys. Did they call them Valg at this point? I don't remember. But they're trying to lead them to the skinwalker to let the skinwalkers like kill it. That scene is kind of chilling. Like it's kind of
Yeah.
spooky. I like that part.
hmm I like that part too. I really want to know who murdered Marion because at this time we get those flashbacks like Selena, we get to see Arobin finding Selena and whatnot. We did, right? Yeah.
Yep.
And so I'm like, what if it was Arobin that killed Marion? Because why else would he have? Oh wait, no. Did Elena woke him up, huh? I was gonna say it was like weird timing to have Arobin there, um, to find Selena slash Aelin. But I think I remember reading something later on or on the internet that said Elena had woken up Arobin and nudged him to get to the river where he found Aelin. Does that ring a bell to you at all?
Vaguely, I realized I nodded and said yes. We don't actually get the scene where Arabin picks her up in this book. We get like everything right
Okay.
up to that. So her
Okay.
running and falling in the water and stuff. And then realizing that she lost the third word key,
The
like
amulet.
the amulet of Orinth, and that Arabin must have
hmm
it. Um, I don't think we actually get Arabin on page at all.
Okay. Yeah. So anyways, I'm very curious about who this was who murdered Marion because I feel like it has to be someone we know. I feel like he's just described so vague, but he popped up in a flashback early on, I think in the previous book and now again in this one.
Yeah, we'll have to pay attention for that. We must get that
Mhm.
answer at some point.
What else?
Sorsha. I mean, we gotta talk about Sorsha a little bit. Um, ugh, the I feel like her death is the first really shocking one for me in this series, because
Yes.
it's the first time I feel like in the series where you realize like, oh, maybe not everybody will make it out. Like all the trauma and bad stuff that has happened is sort of like in the past. In as
Mhm.
far as when we're with these characters, like her parents died a long time ago. Even when they take out the slave camps, it's like we're not there when like we're the reader, we're not with any of those characters. We're far away from it. This is like the first kind of big character that has been killed, and like it's kind of important. I mean, that's pretty pivotal for Dorian.
Yeah, it's like
And
the
it's so
catalyst for all three, Adian, Dorian, um and Kale. So,
chaos.
mhm.
And it's so sudden too. Like the whole time I remember the first time I read it, I was like not that worried about her. I was like, they're gonna get her out. They're gonna save her somehow. Something's gonna happen. And then
Mhm.
all of a sudden, just the one like two sentences later, she's beheaded. It's insane. It's so quick.
Yeah. It was very quick and so wild. That is such a wild scene. And I kind of forgot too that Kale was kind of not on the king's side. For some reason, I thought he was more like involved with him and still really followed him from the majority of this book.
Yeah.
But I can't believe I forgot so much.
Yeah, me too. Um, with Kale, I feel like because I kind of remembered him that way as well, like really being on the king's side. And I think the reason I had that in my head is because he's still not on board with the magic. Like he's still very
Mm-hmm.
much like wants to protect Dorian and Aelin, but he's not like okay with it. And I like that
Yeah.
Dorian calls him out at one point in this book. Like if you want to love me and Aelin, you need to love all of us. And kind
Mm-hmm.
like you can't just pick and choose. I like that Dorian kind of calls him out, but I feel like that's why I had a bad kind of impression of Kale in this book the first time I read it, and I kind of had that memory as well.
Yeah. I think this is really when we just start seeing too that Kale really is just very human.
Yeah,
It's all of his reactions and whatnot, how he acts to everything, him not being okay with the magic and how safe it feels to follow the rules for him. It's just all very human.
yeah. Well, and literally
Mhm.
too. I mean, we kind of come to find out he's one of the few superhuman characters. Like everybody else has something. They have magic or they're
Yeah.
part fae or both, and he's one of the few
Hmm.
that's actually truly
Just human.
mortal. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, of course, he's gonna have different fears and things.
Hmm.
Oh, and then because I was about to say, like, he doesn't heal as fast and stuff. We also find out that Aelin also has that drop of water magic that I had totally
Hmm.
forgotten about that allows it's like a
Same.
healing magic. I forgot about that, and that totally makes sense now why she was so, like, enamored with the healers her whole life, as
Hmm.
well, because she has this essence, and that was, like, part of her mother's magic, I think.
Yeah.
Totally forgot about that.
Oh my goodness. The theater scene.
Yeah, that was one of the times I cried.
Oh my gosh, when they're all dressed in black and the song of Ilwe and Fenharrow and Melisande and Terrasen, and then them all, disappearing.
Yeah,
No
and the
one
whole
saw those musicians or their conductor again. Yeah, this scene made me bawl. A lot less this time. The the first time though, I was a mess.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah, it's such like a important scene in here. Just also just like kind of like protesting in the normal world. Um, it's so like monumental, especially in this time when the king is literally just offing people left and right.
Yeah, it's the second time in this series when we've seen, and I feel like the Mass universe, she does this, that's kind of a theme throughout, but like this is the second time we've seen it in this series where the artists are the ones kind of taking up a public stance. Because I think it's one
Hmm.
of the singers in like book 1 or 2. Maybe
Yeah.
it's book 1, I forget now, but because I forget stuff so quickly, but she kinda made a stance by singing that song, and then she was disappeared, and then after
Hmm.
the 2 slave camps were devastated, this orchestra took up a stance. It's just so, and what a beautiful way to take a stance too by, like, playing the nation's songs. Just, ugh.
Yeah. Um, Moving on to farther in the book, the king, it goes in detail of like the king kind of harassing her as a child, and she describes it as like a worm inside of her head, and she gets dizzy and lightheaded. Um, and then we find out later on also that Maeve has similar powers. And whenever she's in like Maeve's presence, she gets like these tiny headaches, and you can feel like something is like the pressure and whatnot. And I thought that was very interesting, that connection right there with the king and now Maeve having similar powers as well.
Wow, I didn't even, like, think about I mean, obviously, we know later about what's happening with Maeve, but I didn't even register that she, like, has the headache and head, like, pressure with Maeve.
I did a
I
really
love that
bad
scene.
job this time. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're okay. I was just gonna say it's
Really.
same, like I'm sorry. Same like, scene, that you were talking about where one of those scenes you were talking about when the king is, like, she's a child and the king is, like, messing with her head and says there's, like, a worm in her head. It's the first time as a child that she met Dorian, and I thought it was so sweet that even, like, back then when she's sort of like, a rowdy kid, she's like, you know, kinda making fun of him for, like, the way he's eating, but
Hmm.
then 2 seconds later being like, "We could be friends, if you want to." And Dorian's like,
Hmm.
"Well, I have a friend, actually." Like, it's just
I know that
I don't
was really
know.
cute. I also really want to know who this white barn owl is, because there's that white barn owl that's always with Maeve, and we know that the Fae have their animal forms. Who is this white barn owl?
Yeah, because that's not one of the cadre, right?
No,
Because I
and
think
I don't think we figure out at all who this is in the series at all. I think this is
weird.
something that I've seen on the internet too. I had highlighted this, but I think I had read a thread about we don't know who this white barn owl is.
Weird. I think even
I'm
the first time sorry, go ahead.
I just had a thingy. I'm like, what if you know how the the demon son, I can't remember what his name is in Crescent City, how he's like a white cat?
Oh, yes. What is his name? I
Hmm.
don't remember. Yeah. Oh, like, maybe it's one of the
Yeah,
Hellboys? Ooh, I love that theory.
yeah.
I guess the first time I read it, I thought it was, like, Maeve in her animal form, but as you just showed, like, that's not what her animal form looks like, so oh. Yeah, if it's one of the Hellboys, that would make a lot of sense for, like,
Yeah.
crossover stuff. Star rating for this one for you.
I'm gonna say this one's a 4.
Nice. And, how do you compare it, for the 3? I think we gave both of the other 2 a 3, or did you give Crown of Midnight a 4?
That's a great question. I don't remember.
But or how does this one rank so far for you
I think this is my favorite, yeah.
of the first 3?
Of the 3, yeah. Hmm.
Cool. I think this one's my favorite. We'll see if that holds up out of the whole series. We'll see if that holds up, but I remember liking this one a lot, and I still did a lot on the reread, so this one's definitely a 5 for me. I love it. I love this one.
I So next we're doing Queen of Shadows. I don't remember what happens in Queen of Shadows or Empire of Storms, but I feel like one of them is my favorite. So we'll see if, or was my favorite. So we'll see if that holds up or not.
You think one of those 2 was your favorite out of the whole series?
Yeah,
Nice.
previously.
This perfect segue to bring us to next episode. We're going to be talking about Queen of Shadows. And
Ooh.
what is the next novella?
I think it's the assassin in the underworld.
Yeah, Assassin in the Underworld. Perfect. Okay, so as we'll be talking about next time. Any final thoughts? I think that's pretty much it. I just love these. I feel like I should say more, but I don't think I have anything else.
I know my notes were not great this time. I think there's so much happening, but so little happening at the same time. We had
Yeah.
basically our three different main plots happening, and I don't know, they happened really well. No
Yeah.
notes. Minimal
No
notes.
Great job.
Hmm.
Compliments to the chef.
Yes.
So this has been Bookmarked episode 3, just wrapping up Heir of Fire and The Assassin in the Desert. We'll catch you guys next time with Queen of Shadows and The Assassin in the Underworld. I'm Kat.
And I'm Taylor. And this was Bookmarked.